Welcome back. And now, as earlier, we're going to be taking a closer look over President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to the United Arab Emirates and also visiting Algerian President in Cairo earlier. And with us live over the phone is Ambassador Hussein Hareidi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning, Ambassador Hareidi.
Good morning, madam.
How are you doing, sir?
Fine, madam.
Let us first take a closer look over President Sisi's visit to the UAE.
Well, I guess the visit of President Sisi to UAE came immediately after the visit of the Algerian President, President Abdel Tebboune, to Cairo. And one of the main topics that was on the agenda in both visits was the preparation for the upcoming Arab Summit that would be hosted by Algeria on a date that would be agreed upon in the near future. And on the other hand, I guess the visit of President Sisi to the United Arab Emirates was a message of support, of full Egyptian support to the United Arab Emirates against the threats of coming from Yemen. Last week, Abu Dhabi was the target of some attacks by the Houthis in Yemen. So President Sisi expressed Egypt's full support for the United Arab Emirates, and on the other hand, discussed with the leaders of this country the upcoming Arab Summit and how to strengthen Arab solidarity. And then, as far as the visit of the Algerian president is concerned to Cairo, this was, personally speaking, I guess this one a very important visit. Of course, he is the first Algerian president to visit Cairo from 2008. And during this period from 2008 till today, many developments have occurred in the Arab world, and in general, and particularly in North Africa. So the Algerian-Egyptian summit in Cairo 3 days ago centered on, if I may sum it up, centered on national security, the Arab national security and the national security of both Algeria and Egypt, and how the two countries could cooperate together diplomatically and in the security field in North Africa, in the Arab world, and in Africa. And I guess this is the major events that have taken place this week in terms of Egyptian foreign policy have demonstrated that the Arab dimension of Egyptian foreign policy is paramount in this foreign policy of ours, and that our relations with the Arab world, it really take precedence on all over other relations. But we, as the Algerian president said in the joint press conference with President Sisi, he said that Egypt is the bridge between the Mashriq al-Arabi, that is to say, the eastern part of the Arab world, east of Sinai, the western part of the Arab world, west of Sinai. And historically speaking, and from a geographical point of view, that's one of the main roles of Egypt in Arab history, a bridge between the Arabs. And of course, Egypt, until the next Arab summit would take place, Egyptian diplomacy would do its best to bring the Arab countries to full agreement on the agenda items once this summit takes place.
It's very noticeable, two factors, especially if we talk about the United Arab Emirates visit. Two factors distinguished President Abdel Fattah's visit to the United Arab Emirates, which is the timing and the message that is being implicated inside this visit.
Yeah, of course, you are right. As far as the timing is concerned, it came on the heels of the attacks, the Houthi attacks against the United Arab Emirates. Not only as a matter of fact, not only the United Arab Emirates, but in the same time, Saudi Arabia was targeted by Al-Houthi also. So, as timing is concerned, this was, as we said earlier, this was a message of support. This is the message of dissuasion, a message not only to the Houthis, but other regional powers that not only the United Arab Emirates, but other member countries in the Gulf Cooperation Council would enjoy the full support of Egypt if they come under attack. And the message, I guess, the message was the message of dissuasion to all parties concerned that target the countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, that Egypt would stand by these countries or any one of each of these countries if they come under attack at present or in the future. From a diplomatic point of view, diplomatic point of view, madam, this message of dissuasion could, and we hope it could convince the Houthis that it's better to accept the United Nations mediation and start looking for a diplomatic way out of the military confrontation taking place in Yemen.
Egypt and Algeria have always maintained historical relationships, but also with the pace of time, they have developed and they have faced different challenges, and they have been setting their eyes on specific interests. What type of, or what could we say if they would be joining a mutual interest? What are the mutual interests between the two countries? And also, if there were same challenges that would threaten them, so that they could be working on it?
Well, I can think, madam, I can think of instability in North Africa. This is the first thing. The second thing is working together, cooperating to fight terrorism, not only in the Arab world, but also in sub-Saharan Africa and in Africa. As you may have noticed, the terrorist groups are expanding in Africa. And their activities are not only limited to the Horn of Africa or to Libya, Tunisia, or sub-Saharan Africa, but now they started recruiting young men in the Ivory Coast, in Guinea, and they launched terrorist attacks in Mozambique at the southern end of Africa. So fighting terrorism is one of the major challenges facing Algeria and Egypt, taking into account that the two countries have suffered tremendously from terrorism. Algeria and the Algerian people speak about the, and I quote, madam, the Black Decade. And this is a reference to the 90s, when, of course, terrorism was rampant in Algeria, and almost 200,000 Algerians lost their lives in this very challenging and dangerous decade. As far as Egypt is concerned, of course, we all know the price that we have been paying for fighting terrorism, not only in northern Sinai, but in the Nile Valley, in our major cities, in Cairo and elsewhere. So we said political instability in North Africa, lack of security security linked to this political instability, fighting terrorism, and last but not least, developing further their bilateral relations. I remember sometime in the 90s, Egypt and Syria signed almost 18 agreements in cooperation bilaterally. And I guess the visit of President Tebboune to Cairo has been a very good occasion to relaunch, and I stress, to relaunch bilateral cooperation among the two countries, not only in the political field, but in economic, commercial, investment-wise, cultural, and educational field. We stand to benefit, both Egypt and Algeria stand to benefit from expanded cooperation bilaterally between them. The political message, the underlying message of the visit of President Tebboune to Egypt is that once again, Egyptian diplomacy and Algerian diplomacy would cooperate for defending, developing their national interests, and also working together in Africa, in the Arab world, and in terms of Arab-European cooperation across the Mediterranean.
Ever since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have set feet into office, he have revived or inspired the whole world with his foreign diplomacy and soft diplomacy. How do you assess, real quick, the foreign relations of Egypt right now?
Well, Egypt historically, and because of where we are a link between three continents. Africa, Asia, and Europe. And of course, we have long coasts on the Mediterranean, long coasts on the Red Sea, and we have very long, our borders with Libya, with Sudan, and with the countries of Al-Mashriq. Palestine, Jordan, Syria. We are at the crossroads of civilizations and three continents.
Of course.
And this fact, madam, has had a very, I wouldn't say positive or negative effect, but it impacted how Egypt deals with international, regional, and Arab development.
Right.
So we have a very active foreign policy, and the more we rebuild our country, the more we rebuild our economy, the more this will be positively reflected on our foreign policy.
Right. On that note, Ambassador Hussein Hareidi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, would like to thank you so much, and you have a beautiful morning. And by this, we come to the end of the breakfast show for this morning. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again in another new episode tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.